Do you struggle with budgeting? You feel like you can't budget?
A lot of people do.
They do. Today, we want to talk to you why budgeting fails for a lot of people and some really easy ways you could combat this. Because as you know, my name's Julia, I'm said Aaron.
I'm Aaron.
We are the Canny Couple, a small homestead family in rural Virginia that work every single day to merge homesteading and frugality. And a big reason we are so successful and 100% debt free is because we budget.
Right. It's really gone a long way in providing stability for our family.
Even when we first got together and we weren't debt free.
Right. True.
That created stability. It gave us a game plan. So we want to help you because we know a lot of people struggle with budgeting. They hear the word.
And they're like, that's too much work.
It's too much work. So we want to share with you 5 commonalities we see for people who don't like to budget or say you don't need to budget or why budgeting doesn't work and how you can get around those and combat them to build a budget that's going to work for you and your family. But before we get started, we would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and also leave in the comments below why you think budgeting fails for a lot of people. If you budget or if you don't.
Yeah.
So, number 1, your budget's unrealistic.
You can't say, I'm going to live on $200 a month.
Like my grocery budget's going to be $200 a month. You have a family of 10 to feed.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Right. You've got to be realistic about thinking through how much you pay on certain items. What are your reoccurring expenses? What are your taxes going to be for the year? For if you've got real estate taxes, property taxes, anything like personal property taxes, anything like that, because those are big things people do forget a lot of times.
They do.
To put in their budget.
Insurances, all of those things, especially if you pay annual subscription costs, you underestimate what you actually need to spend.
Yeah.
Or you're just overspending in general. Now, if you're in the red, you're going to have to make some decisions and some cuts.
Yeah, and some of those can be really hard to do, but think of it from how you want to better yourself in your life, basically, and be like, do I really need that annual subscription to, I don't know, let's say Netflix. You've got it for the whole year, and you're like, well, no, I don't really need it because I've got some free options that I constantly watch.
Yeah. So how do we feel like you can fix this? So we would actually tell you to look at several months of your bank statements, what you're actually spending. We would tell you to go back and look. A lot of people say 1 month, but we would tell you to at least do 2, do 3, because you should start to see patterns in your spending. This takes work.
Yes.
It does.
And you don't have to have just like paper statements.
You can do it all online.
You can do it on your online accounts as well by looking back over a 3-month period to see what did come out of your accounts, what kind of payments you did make.
What did you spend at the grocery store? So before you go and say, I only want to spend $100 on our grocery budget for like a family of 2, or $200 for a family of 2, you can actually go back and say, oh, wait, no, we got to figure this out. We can't go from $1,000 to $200. You want to, test that cut. Now, I will tell you, we did this year.
Yeah.
We did. We went down from 500?
500 to
300.
300 on grocery.
And I'm staying under 300. But I will tell you, there was some doubts in our household.
I didn't think we could do it.
Yeah, he did not. He did not have faith. He was like, I'm a little worried about this. I was like, let's try it. Let's see what we can do.
This was when I thought it was unrealistic. But in honesty,
it's really not.
Keeping yourself, true to it and following up and everything, it's really helped.
It has. And when we get ready to shift from a $300 to $250, he's not going to bat an eye.
Are we?
Not next year, but the year after. Next year, okay. I need another year of 300, but
see,
probably
I was like, that's news to me.
Probably in a year or 2 years, we're going to be going down another $50. Okay. So I could get that grocery budget as low as possible. As we're producing more food on our homestead, we're doing more, I can get that grocery budget even lower. But It's something we do gradually, and we're learning, and we're seeing where we can make deeper cuts in our budget. And we're doing this in every aspect of our daily day life. Every aspect, our energy consumption, our grocery budget, everywhere. So it's not just one part of our life that we're looking at. Number 2, budgeting is overwhelming. We get it, especially if you're new.
It takes some time to get your process down and in place. I will say that. I mean, it's taken us
years,
years to get it honed in, but the amount of time that we spend on it, even the time when we weren't doing as good, was 30 minutes max a week.
Yep. And a lot of people would look at this, they're like, well, I got to go through it. I got to go through my bank statements, my credit card statements, whatever form of payment you use. You have to go through them and calculate, figure out. But doing the upfront work and then making sure you input the work in to your budget as you spend does make it go a lot faster. And you're building a muscle.
It does.
This is a muscle you build. And I will tell you, for us, it's gotten faster and faster.
Yes, because
some things take a little longer. What takes longer for you is like the receipts. You keep adding receipt apps.
The receipt apps, how many we do and how many it takes. That itself, I probably spend 30 minutes on that part of it to earn, $5 to $10 a month.
But he has a set time he does it. I'm usually cooking.
Yeah.
And he just goes through and takes care of it. It works out well for us. We have it kind of situated that he does the budget while I'm cooking, and usually the little one's asleep.
Yep.
She's either in bed for bedtime or it's nap time, so It works really well. But it does take some time to build your muscles for budgeting, and you have to know that this is a sprint. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon. It gets so much easier the more you do it.
Yeah.
Now our budgeting meetings take no time, and we're in the same place every week. We know exactly where we are with our finances, and I would say it's made us so much stronger as a couple.
Yes, definitely, because we know where we're at overall. We know what we have left for the month. We know what, hey, this has got to wait this month, or right now is the time we might need to purchase this.
Absolutely. Like, we just had a conversation about our grocery budget. He's like, here's how much you have. We divide it by 2. You can spend $80 this week and $80 the next.
Yeah.
And that really helps me know, like, okay, if I see a really good deal, I'm going to jump on it. Yeah. It's hard to continuously keep up with it. Now, this, I think, is people lose interest. It's not fun to budget unless you like crunchy numbers and seeing numbers, but even then it could get monotonous and boring.
I will say the hardest time it was to keep up with it for us was when we were doing the house remodel.
That was terrible.
Because I didn't have my regular computer, and we were going out a lot more, so I had more receipts than normal.
You were going out like every few days.
I was going out every other day almost. But in all honesty, we were still able to keep up with it from that perspective. What helps is I always get receipts back everywhere we go.
Everywhere.
If I don't, I text.
Or I text.
Or she texts.
We have our symbol down, like what it needs to look like to work for us. So we know to put where it was at, what we used, the amount, and if it needs to go in a specific category.
Yep.
So if it needs to go for the animals, if it needs to go into our miscellaneous, anything like that. Like if we do an Amazon purchase and it needs to go into our miscellaneous, we make sure to put it there. If it needs to go into animals, we put it there. And we also know that if we do like a bigger Amazon purchase or a bigger purchase at another store and it goes in multiple sections, to go ahead and do the math on the front end, not the back end. Yep. Sometimes we make that mistake. I'll make that mistake, but I've gotten better.
When you have a long, detailed receipt, it can be trickier.
It can be.
Ollie's is one that we struggle with.
We do.
Because just the way they lay it out on the receipt, that
I'd highlight.
she would go through and highlight, which areas go.
I would be like, blue is food, and green is miscellaneous, and yellow is pets. And we didn't have a choice and then we'd have to decipher what goes where. So it became a little difficult, especially if you were getting to it later. That was a problem. But now we are very systematic.
It helps.
They don't set.
Right. It helps if you do this each week.
At least, if not immediately.
If not immediately. Like, we don't wait 2 weeks from now to do 2 weeks worth of this. We do each of it in a week period.
Yes. Every single week we have our set budget meeting. Everything has to be in.
Right.
So receipts, categories, all of it gets confusing. It gets overwhelming. You have, I would say for us, the process is what has helped. But for a lot of people, going to Excel doesn't work for them. So I would tell you, invest in an app if you need to.
Yes. You hear about a lot of different ones out there. It would be looking into see what suits yourself the best. It could be that this one does, this one doesn't, this one costs more, this one's costs less. You got to weigh, the pros and cons of all that.
And also the ease of use, what's going to work better for you. Make sure you keep up with it, especially if you're going to pay for it.
Right. Another one a lot of people use is Google Sheets, just because you can access it from anywhere, your phones, anything like that. So you could put something in immediately as you purchase.
You could. It's just if people actually just want to be able to, sort. For me, it's more buttons, more clicks than I would want, because we automatically know, looking at the receipt, 9 times out of 10 where that's going to go.
Right.
Like, we've gotten our system down to that. Now, before it wouldn't have been that way, but I still don't think I would like that in an app. But that's us, and a lot of people could really rely on that app, and it really would work for them. Budgeting is only done one way. That's the rumor. Budgeting is only done one way. One size fits all, and that is not the case.
No. It's how you design it for yourself.
You got to make it work for you. We are huge proponents of building a budget that works for you. You put in your basic needs and expenses, how much you're going to spend. Your goal is to be right at it or under it. So your mortgage is probably not going to fluctuate. Your phone bill, depending on what you have, is probably not going to fluctuate. We use Mint Mobile.
Right.
It doesn't change.
Doesn't change. We pay for a year, and we know, we just break it up over 12 months.
Yes. So the things that you can change, like your electric bill, your food bill, you want to make sure that is at an amount that's, you can actually meet and not go over. But the goal is to get under that amount. And then you add in your wants.
Yep. Your entertainment, your maybe it's an extra category for clothing, or
your animal,
sports cards, anything
that you find interesting, prepping, homesteading, all those other fun things that you like to do, whatever that is. You can do a zero-based budget. You can do other, there's so many different ways to do it. We do think that every dollar has a purpose. We do agree with that. But for us, we tend to treat it just a little bit differently. We put in our numbers, we see how much we have left at the end of the month, and then from there we determine where that extra money goes. And that has worked really well for us.
Yes.
It's been so much easier for us. And we hit our markers just about every single month.
Agree.
Now, I would say the biggest thing for this is, when people say, well, that doesn't work. Well, I would say our miscellaneous. We used to break this out.
We did. We used to break this out into household clothing.
Everything.
Miscellaneous, maybe even break it down to car repairs, anything and everything.
I mean, we would have 20 different things in this.
It makes it tough to keep up with that many things.
It made it so hard. It's so much more complicated compared to what we are now. Now we know if it's a general purchase that we wouldn't normally buy, a one-time purchase, or something that is more, like every 3 months, things like that. We know that goes in our miscellaneous. But we keep a pretty padded miscellaneous budget in our budget for that reason. Now, if something were to happen, that would drop.
Yes.
It's the first thing to get cut.
Yeah.
And that's understood between both of us. So, but it works for us in our household. It might not work for everybody. You might actually need to see your household items broken out to see what you have. For me, I don't need to see that. I actually want to see how much money we have extra at the end of the month. Then I'm going to go stock up with a little bit of that on our household items, and I will say that has worked very, very well for us.
Extremely well.
It's so much better than before.
Yeah.
But you have to find what works for you. You have to, it's not one shoe fits all. It really isn't. So you could take really good advice from a lot of different people, use it, build that, and build a budget that really works for you and your family, however that needs to be. And I think this is probably the biggest. People are unmotivated to budget.
This is very true. A lot of people are unable to see an end goal.
So they might be like, yes, I want to do it. Or they might be like, yeah, this is too much work.
Right.
But either way, it's not fun or interesting to them.
Yep, exactly.
They're not seeing it as, this is really the blueprint to get me out of debt.
Yeah. And getting out of debt can open up so many more possibilities for you because, hey, I was spending $1,200 on a mortgage. That's $1,200 that has a new purpose now.
Absolutely. Investing in yourself, in your retirement, and anything else that you're looking for. That's a good investment to make.
Yes, exactly.
So just little things like that really do help. You really have to dedicate yourself to this. And you have to dedicate specific times. And you have to be accountable. And if you have a partner, you both have to be accountable to each other.
And on the same page.
And willing to give a little bit.
Yes.
Now, I will say we work really well together. We both, we've never really had a problem with giving and bending in our budget.
No. I will say, for us, it might be for me saying, hey, this is on sale. This is a really good deal. We should probably get it now versus 3 months from now. Right.
And I'm just sort of...
You're like, are you sure? Should we get it now? Should we wait? That type of thing.
He is more of the spender.
I am.
I don't like to spend money if I don't have to. At least not on myself. I'm really bad about spending money on myself. If it's something to improve the household or to give me more time, I might be more willing to spend money.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and I will put it off as long as possible.
She does.
I will put it off.
A great example is...
my Fitbit. So I love my little Fitbit, and this is the one I like. I like the smaller one and not like the big ones. And it broke in March.
And didn't replace it until
July.
End of July.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just wasn't as important in the budget.
Right. Hey, sometimes things like that. That was a want. That wasn't a need.
It was a want, not a need. I didn't need it, but I do like having it. It's one of those things. I like having the watch, especially. It helps keep me on track. Helps keep me on time. I like getting text messages. If Aaron's letting me know something, or if he needs me, and I could get that message, especially if I'm working outside or something. It's really nice. So, but it's just one of those things. But being unmotivated, I would say, which would you say is one of the biggest ones here?
I would say people think it's just too much to it. It's because they can't picture out how they would do this. They don't know how much they spend on groceries. They don't know how much they spend on gas.
The lack of knowledge.
Right. Knowing how much you bring in and how much you spend out each month, through bills, credit cards, or direct payments, those type of things, cash even, is basically your starting point. That gets you to where you need to figure out, okay, this is how much I'm spending, this is how much I'm earning. You need to earn more than you spend.
Yes. Live below what you're earning. Live below your means. I would say it's probably our biggest secret to success. We've always lived well below what we were bringing in, which has allowed us to be where we are today. But the budget is how we did that.
Yes.
And I will tell you, there have been times when we have been unmotivated to budget. We did not want to get into it. But since the beginning of this year, since we put our new systems into place, I don't think it's been as bad.
No, totally agree.
It's not been as bad. And I think it was because Aaron felt like a lot of it was on him. I would look at it, but I wasn't involved in the budget. But where I am a full partner in the budget, I might not input, but we're fully committed and talk about it and look at it every single month. And we know where we are every single week. That has helped.
Agree.
It has helped because it gives him a reason to actually put it in, besides just, once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep. Any final thoughts?
No, I don't have any, do you?
No.
This is important.
It is.
So important. I can't stress how important to you it is. And I'm also one of those people that if you say you don't budget, but you make sure you have enough for your basic expenses, that's a budget.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's like a budget. I feel like we're in this world where a budget is considered, it has to be one way. And that's the only way you could do it. And that is not the case. A budget is very flexible. Yes, there's some basic principles in there. You need to make sure your needs are in there, and then you fill in your wants. You need to make sure all your spending is below what you're bringing in every month. That's it. That's the rule. This is not rocket science, but it's gotten to the point where it's so complicated. People don't want to do it.
Yep.
I can see that. I wouldn't want to do it if somebody told me that's how I had to do it. I'd be like, this is not for me. I don't have time for this.
Hey, but it can help you.
It can. And it's not that hard. You make it work for you.
Yeah. Well, if you got any comments, questions, anything else, you can either leave those down below or send it to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. And then make sure to go over and check out our link tree, which has links to all of our other content.
And as always, thank you for joining us on The Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.